back to another video. Today I'm just discussing how we need to show Seven Deadly Sins much more appreciation to what it was and what it is. Of course, Seven Deadly Sins in the anime universe, or at least anime fandom itself, is widely regarded as Seven Deadly Frames, as of course with the animation going down in quality mostly season after season after season. Once the studio changed from season 1 to, I don't know what the studio went to from season 1 to season 2, it just had a monumental shift in animation, affecting the fights, affecting what people thought was important to the story with the animation. And on that basis, I guess it's true. I mean, I really went manga only for Seven Deadly Sins to enjoy it once they really messed up that Meliodas and Escanor fight, because if I didn't read the Meliodas fight, and I was really hyped to see that in the anime, and for them to give us that product is crazy. Now, of course, this is still me showing appreciation and love of Seven Deadly Sins having one of the great first seasons in anime out of probably all time. One of the great first seasons to really get you hooked on the show, and maybe even a really good second season. But after that, it go down the drain, straight down the drain. For sure down the drain. Now, within all that, I would hope for, many Seven Deadly Sins fans, at least for me, since it has that Seven Deadly Frames reputation, the story itself is really good. The love story between Meliodas and Elizabeth, the tragedy of Gother, the tragedy of Escanor, and how his life eventually has to end. And of course, Escanor was the fan favorite, so he had to go just to have the emotional impact on the story, much like how Pops was for us in our childhood. How Pops had to go. He was the most, I want to say the most famous character on the regular show, but he was one of the fan favorites, one more impactful ones. So to really set them apart, one of them had to go. Anime does this and regular show did it. So I really understood why Escanor had to go, because if Escanor was to stay alive and were to gain any form or power of sunshine and be in the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, what's the point of the sequel? Right? What's the point of the sequel? And any way, shape, or form of the Seven Deadly Sins, of that twist happening, of the tragedy of the Meliodas and Elizabeth story that we get to see, we also get to see the tragedy story between what happened to them with the goddess and then the demon king. Then we also get to see Gother's tragedy backstory with him and his creator that happened all those years ago, and of course Esteros tragedy, who is technically really not an important character at all. But with Esteros, story being so important, having underlying themes. Now, I don't know if they have great foreshadowing. It's really been a minute since I've seen the show, or I've even read the show. So I know it's been a minute. It's real hard to rewatch this kind of thing. But for the story, the twist, the love was great. Bond was great. Bond being sort of a flatline character, as his character kinda changes from being someone who's just foolishly in love. He's just a fool in love that wants to do anything he can to get his girl back. Of course, even if it means killing his captain, even if it means, betraying his own teammates, he is a selfish person in the end, but eventually having the ability, a gift, to get back his girl. Come on now. We could see King's and Diane's relationship grow, and have Diane has grown to the appreciation of King as she moves further and further away of the captain in each and every season, when she realized the captain is no longer interested in her. And then Merlin's twist, being a kid. I don't know why they did that, but Merlin eventually turning her back on the Sins. She would always be down for the Sins. She would always have Meliodas' back. But eventually she has to betray the Sins in a certain way to follow Arthur or Chaos's will, for rather experimentation, or just to see how it goes in the world. Besides that, we get to see Gother learn the love and affection eventually. I don't know if Gother gets his heart back. Still been a minute, but we still get to see Gother get his heart back. It's a group of the most overpowered people done right. And I'm a personal believer of group of overpowered people if they're written well, and they're written well in each and any aspect as you follow the story in all these different avenues. The only one I would say is not written well is Elizabeth. I don't, give her something more to do other than that. And then it has one of the better sequels of a show, The Four Knights of the Apocalypse, where it doesn't have to be carried on nostalgia, carried on the past characters. Of course, they're still involved, they're still alive, and they'll still make appearances, but they're just not the main focus. They had their time, right? But they still show love to the OG fandom that is still rocking with them. So it's one of the better sequels, of course, to show, to love. As we know, Boruto can never get it. Well, Boruto manga did it right, but Boruto anime hasn't done it right when it comes to sequels. So we know how many anime sequels can go down the drain, of course, but they did it correctly. Now we know that we can follow chaos, how we fall in love with Arthur, and the tragedy of Arthur from being one lighthearted king trying to be what's correct to someone who lost it all and has to rebuild it through his own vision. We understand what he's been through. We understand his character, and we can't really say he's a villain, but he's an antagonist towards the other 5 races, so he's considered evil and a villain, of course, at least in this retro aspect. Other than that, of course, it's just the animation, what people get, and I get it. It is a show better read and maybe fan animated in some aspects than actually watch, especially after maybe the second season. The second season wasn't that bad, but once you get to that third, fourth season, ugh. Right? And that's where the more hype moments, where the story is reaching its peak, where you really, where you're really excited for the fights. Man, but show love to Seven Deadly Sins. If you liked it, like this video, subscribe to this video. I hope we get to have more Seven Deadly Sins content outside of the Four Knights Apocalypse, rather that be a movie, a game with just the OG crew, because I know the Four Knights of the Apocalypse is the main cast right now, but they won't compare to the originals. Hopefully we get a story on Escanor or Esteros or any of the 4 Archangels. Other than that, I miss this show. I do. Like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.